Greetings again. As I said, I'm going to start telling stories about my life and events in my life. And this one here is about me being incarcerated. Well, before that, I always had the knack to seem like I was saying the wrong thing at the right time. And I remember I was like 6 years of age, walking down the street. My mother, she was holding my hand. And I remember there was a lady coming up the street. And she must have appeared very big pregnant to me. But I know I said to my mommy, I said, "Ooh, mommy, look, she's pregnant." My mom smacked me right in my mouth. But I was like, "Why you do that?" She's like, "Don't you be talking of grown folks' business." I was confused. I was like, "But she was pregnant." So I've always had that knack, okay? And always been abstract. Like I said, even with my friends, that I had it for the few first years of my life. But after like 15, 16, I broke away from it all. I became an itemized object myself. That was it. All right, now, I wouldn't say, and being incarcerated. Now, here's what people don't recognize about being incarcerated. When you're incarcerated, you can't fail. How can you fail? You're going to get 3 meals a day. You're going to get your hair cut every week or 2 weeks out, however you work it out. You're able to work out. You're not going to be exposed to the elements. You will not have to worry about where you're going to sleep at night or how you're going to eat. So even though it's a harsh thing of being incarcerated away from your loved ones, it still is a safety net for some motherfuckers. That's why we inside the joint we say, "Nigga, you wasn't arrested, you was rescued." Because motherfuckers are saved by being in jail from their own selves while living on the street in the weakness of our temptations that seems to set us astray on our life's journey. But but in jail, I was not a workout type person or anything. I don't know, I would just throw this in, but it was a brother when I got there that I had known from the streets and everything. I didn't know that this motherfucker was a crackpot. Okay, so I ended up moving into this area of the jail that he's at. And talking about working out, yeah, Peter, we could try, working. I'm like, all right, we go outside one day. I swear to you, it's 95, 98 degrees outside in the shade. And this motherfucker starts doing some pull-ups and dips and push-ups and something else. And after one or two, I said, "Yo, Joe, I can't do this. This shit too hot. I got to go in." That motherfucker looked at me and said to me, "Nah, it ain't no quitting. It ain't no quitting. When you get started, you got to get started." I actually thought the nigga was joking or a nut, but whatever. I looked at him and I walked the fuck on off and went to my motherfucking housing aid, my room and all. He was in the same building with me. About 40 fucking minutes later, this motherfucker come up to me like he was gonna fight me. And he verbally blasted me about never working out and his blase. But I was just looking at this motherfucker. I don't even think I uttered the word. I just knew if this motherfucker swing, we gonna have to hurt each other. But okay, not going past that. My behavior in jail, like it wasn't working out or nothing. It was a pinochle. I was a pinochle head. Chest, I was a chest head. And reading, that was me. Right? And I didn't care nothing about the decorum of the rules or anything. In jail, I actually had a guard ask me one time, "Man, how long do you go before you max out?" I only had like 60, 45 days to go. And he knew that. He said, "I'll just be glad when you fucking go on, man. You're unbelievable the way you are." And I didn't give a fuck what he was saying because I didn't want to be there. Here's the thing. Like I said, reading, I had became cool with this brother from Patterson named Supreme. He was a 5%er. And if you know anything about 5%ers, They want to talk about the laws of mathematics. What's the schedule for the day? No, it is what it is. And we used to always talk. And my opinion to what Supreme was saying was a little adverse from his. And I was trying to get him to comprehend. Listen, no matter what rules or anything that you say, you have to know that your divinity is already you. It's in you. I ain't making a short story shorter. After a couple of months, Supreme comes to me and says, "Yo, man, my peoples want to meet you." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What peoples? Who?" The 5% of the nation and their leader. I said, "For what?" He's like, "Man, that was just that, things that we be talking about. I've been going to them and asked them about it. And they asked me, where I get it from." I'm like, "Supreme, what the fuck did you do? What the fuck you go around there and talk to them about?" "Man, I'm not going to fuck around there." He said, "No, Peter, it ain't nothing like that, man. They ain't trying to move on you or nothing." I said, "Man, goddamn, man, what the fuck?" I had to go and go out there to meet. Here's the fucking funny thing. Their leader was a motherfucker about like 5'3", probably 120 pounds with a bald head. He got all these big motherfuckers around him. I tried to do as best I could to hold a little conversation with him. And I tried to make it as short as possible. And he was basically talking about the elements, the name of the gases, and the itemized elements in the air and how that formula. Okay, if you want to go into, I just let it go. All right. Now forget that part. I'm just talking about the oddity of my ways. And not only that, I used to write. I used to write for a lot of people and just write their letters to girls. Here's the only rule. You cannot be with your girl for a long period of time because she's going to know the way that I write that that's not you talking. And so, but if you didn't know the girl and it was an acquaintance that you're just trying to get into, I could do that. All right, so I used to work in the back in the bakery. It was this brother, Mac Lovely, from Newark. He was a fly motherfucker, I ain't gonna lie to you. Dark skinned brother. Slim, almost like a Eddie Murphy looking motherfucker. But Mac was fly. He had personality. He had everything. This nigga had it going on so good. I don't know how the fuck he was doing it. That nigga he was smoking crack in jail. He would have the girls bring it in. She said, "Well, how you smoke?" "Well, I got a little piece of a car antenna." "How the fuck you do that?" But my point, Mac was that motherfucker smooth. And Mac was always, with his clothes orange and everything. And so after a few months, maybe 6 months of us working together now, he said, "Peter, can I talk to you, man? Straight up." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" He said, "Why you do that, man?" I said, "Why do what?" He said, "Why you walk around the way you do?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, Mac?" He said, "Man, your clothes. Look at all the wrinkles that you're on your clothes. You got 500 wrinkles in one sleeve, 800 in the other sleeve, 1,000 on the shirt, your pants. Why do you do that? And you can get a haircut. Why you walk around? Why you do that?" And I said, "Mac, I'm dying." He said, "What?" I said, "I'm dying, Mac. While I'm here, I'm dying. My best has to be done in my creativity. I have to be on the streets. I have to have opportunities to maneuver and discern my way through. When I come in here, there's no creativity. There's no life for me to have. I'm dying in this motherfucker." Probably added a few more things onto it. And Mac looked at me. Mac had 27 years that he had done, right? And Mac looked at me. He said, "I never heard it expressed like that before." I said, "Yeah, Mac." I said, "Listen, man, these niggas in here, they look their best because they can't fail. I don't strive under these type of conditions." I said, "But I tell you what, let's wait till we get from behind these bars and see each other in 6 months, and we'll see what's going on, the real source of the person that we are." Max, okay, so like I said, we was already cool and everything. He said, listen, man, can I do this for you? Can I get a girl to come up here and visit you? I was like, man, he said, come on, man, what's it gonna hurt, man? You go out there, you can meet her, you never know what can happen. I said, all right, man, you can set it up. He said, but can you do this first? Can you write a letter to her, you know what I mean, as coming from you? I said, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. And I wrote this letter. I ain't gonna get into the words of, basically start off saying, how is it possible for me, to write a letter to you trying to impress you? I have never seen you or met you. And so I don't want to take that opportunity of trying to impress you. I want to get the opportunity to meet you. And in the words, it sounded great. But as me being the way that I am, I didn't want to visit. You know what I mean? Because I had the letter and everything. He read the letter, and but I told him I really don't want to visit, and he didn't comprehend why. But that was it. But here's the thing: the letter, excuse me, the letter that I wrote was an introductory letter. Time went by. Let's go by a year and a half. That went by now. I'm in the halfway house. Like I say, I always fuck up. I get knocked off. I get knocked off in the halfway house 3, 4 days before my fucking date of leaving. And so they sent me back to the jail. First to Riverfront, then I got to go back to Leeds, but I'm back in jail. Got me in the infirmary and whatnot. Then they moved me to 4 barracks, 4 trailer. And as I'm walking in, it's this guy that says to me, yo, man, you just coming in here, you knew? I'm like, yeah, well, what's up? He said, yo, man, I got this letter that if you want to meet a girl with, you know what I mean, I could send you this letter for 2 packs of cigarettes. I said, what letter? He goes and gets the letter. From the truth of my being, it was the letter that I wrote fucking a year and a half ago. It was a fucking same letter. What happened is I had gave it to a friend of mine in my unit from Atlantic City to use. Man, they done made copies. These motherfuckers are selling this shit for 2 packs of cigarettes. Or a pack, whatever you had. But they come off with 2 packs. And there was a fucking letter that I wrote like a year and a half ago. And I looked at the guy. I said, yo, man, I'm the one that wrote this shit. He said, yeah, what are you talking about? So I explained it to him. He said, do you know how many people are using this letter to sell for an introductory letter? And I just smiled and laughed. The motherfucking impressions and the waves that we make in our own life. Like I said, everybody got a story to tell. Some of them make you feel good, and some of them are the truth about your weaknesses. And my story's not going to die within me. Okay, so let's be peace and all them. Yeah, I'm going to talk. Fuck that. Okay.